Yo, what up? This is Mike Brown, and this is The Art of Letting Go.
What's up, man?
What's going on, y'all? Today, we got a special guest in the building. I say that all the time, but you are a special guest. Can you let the people know who you are?
Hey, what's up, beautiful people? My name is Brandon Shamar Sanders, aka Reverend Goodbody. Yeah, man, actor, writer, speaker, um, historian. I like to call myself that now.
I would say that you are, man. My first time meeting you was at the Black Man Now.
All right. Yeah.
Shout out Eric Payton. But yeah, like I remember you spoke. It was either the first one or the second one. I just knew, like I was like, man, this dude is deep.
I appreciate that, man.
It was something like you were talking about something. I remember you gave like just the analogy of like the Lion King and just it was deep, man. So I knew I had to get you on the show at some point.
For sure. You know, I love my analogies.
Yeah, absolutely. Movie historian in general, Black historian.
Yeah, man.
Man. So first, I wanted to talk about what you're doing with the Sunday socials at Agora, because I've only been a couple of times. But what is a Sunday social exactly?
So, Sunday social is basically it's a group conversation. It's a safe space to talk about whatever that is in the realm of healing and love and support and different perspectives. It's just an open space to like release and learn and understand. We do it at Agora Temple, which is on Melrose Avenue, every Sunday at 2:22 p.m. So yeah, man. Started off with just like 2 or 3 of us, and since then it's grown to like we had like maybe 30 people 2 weeks ago.
That's crazy.
Yeah, man. It's been great.
That's what's up, man. One of the things that we all talked about last week was balance, and also like the letting go of like people, and not really letting go of people, but kind of just letting people like from your past life kind of just be where they at.
Right.
And I really wanted to talk to you about that because it's challenging to see, but it's dope to see that so many of us are going through the same things. Because where are you from again? Alabama.
Yeah.
And I'm from Texas.
Oh, yeah.
So, just the perspectives of, how we grew up to probably how we are today are totally different. But we have so many people that are probably still in that past way of thinking. And I'm curious to know how do you deal with that as far as like interacting with family and friends and stuff from back home?
For me, it's about acceptance.
Yeah.
Because you realize that you can only save yourself. So if you try to save somebody else, you're already missing the point. So they have to get to that place internally on their own. And in the meantime, unconditional love is the energy to put out.
Yeah.
And not gonna lie, man, sometimes it's tough because especially when you can see, something that they could learn or attach themselves to that will help them grow, but they're not there yet to receive it. And I think the point for me has been to being able to release myself from not being affected by it anymore.
Yeah. And even just hearing you say that, it makes me feel like almost like we have to find that love and acceptance for ourselves first in order to really give it to other people. Because, I look at my own life and I see points where I've been so critical of myself that it makes me do that with my family, do it with my friends. And almost like those parts of us that we don't like, we see them in other people.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, we start trying to change them, but the reason why we see it is because maybe the universe is telling us we need to change us.
Yeah.
And that's when that work comes in, that internal work that a lot of people I see are afraid to do, man. I used to be afraid of it, but it wasn't intentional fear. It's just how I guess the way we have been taught how to perceive life
Yeah.
has an effect on you putting the attention on yourself because, you know, we're from the South, so religion is very strong.
Yeah.
So the good sources coming from out here, the bad sources coming from out here. So whenever one is, you know, out of balance,
Yeah.
we look for the answer outside versus inside. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned religion because I'm curious to know what do you practice, if anything, and not that you have to, but I'm curious to know just because I mean I grew up, you know, Christian, Methodist, and when I got into college I started looking into like and not looking into it, but I was going to a Catholic school, so I started going to like Catholic church, and I mean going from that to like last week I went to a Buddhist temple.
Nice.
You know what I mean? So, and you know, you kind of taught like there's only one way,
Right.
and I guess being out here you start exploring other ways that are out there. So I'm curious to know like what your journey is like with that.
Ooh, good question, man. So I grew up in deep South Alabama, so I grew up a Baptist Christian.
Yeah.
And then as I got older and went to college, went to a non-denomination Christian church. The same thing out here in LA. You know,
Yeah.
the new way, the modern church. Where,
Yeah.
yeah. Nobody's wearing a robe, or, you know, the quiet. They got fedoras on.
Yeah.
But when I started my journey, I still was trying to identify with something, and each thing that I would learn, I could identify myself with it. So I would learn about Buddhism and see the relation it had with Christianity.
Yeah.
I would read, you know, these old Hebrew texts and see how it related to the same thing I was learning over here. I would, you know, so for me, I realized at the end, after all of that study, searching, is that the thing that I was taught in school is what I practice. And my professor, shout out to Dr. Tommy Stewart, she taught us the art of being.
Oh wow. Can you explain that a little more?
The art of being is, and this is, you know, an acting technique.
Yeah.
But this acting technique isn't about you trying to become a performer, but it's about you being fully present in this moment and becoming whoever this character is. But in order to become this character, you have to fully fall in love with it. So it even just hit me just now that, man, that's all I can do in life is just be. Because as I be, I can fall in love and become everything that I experience and learn something from it. You know what I mean? And so I don't throw any of the religions away if there's something in it that resonates with me that I can learn from.
Right.
I use it. If not, I don't use it, you know?
So you kind of defining life for yourself and, you know, what all of it means to you. That's pretty deep, man.
Yeah, man. 'Cause that keeps me open-minded. And I think that that's the whole point, is to always expand. They say God is, you know, infinite.
Yeah.
So we are that embodiment of that infinite energy. So we should always be continuing to grow. So if we get stuck at one spot, that becomes stagnant energy. Energy has to, was like that Duracell battery commercial. It just keeps going and going.
I like what you said about like just the art of being and like fully embodying that character, and it makes me think about life in general and like, shoot, how the process of falling in love with the characters that we are, you know, and it takes a lot of work, man.
Yeah,
it takes a whole lot of work.
Yeah, the best characters that I learned in theater to fall in love with were the villains.
Okay.
Because this was a big lesson I learned, was when I had to play my first villain, I hated him because I hated what he stood for.
Yeah.
And my professor, Brian Martin, he was showing me how can you be somebody if you hate them? And so how can you tell their story if you don't care about their story? You just see a bad guy, but what's really happening here? So he made me go deeper into investigating. So as I go deeper, I realized like, oh, he's not a bad person. He's
Yeah.
just hurt by something, and this is his only way of being able to express it because he hasn't been heard. And he said, "Do you feel that in your life?" Yeah, I have felt that before. So, and, you know, when that gets suppressed, it becomes this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you act out or react to something, that's in that moment of you becoming that villain. But once you learn to love what that root is and where that person had that pain, now you can tell their story completely. So,
Do you feel like there are such thing as good or bad people?
nah, I think there's cause everything is just energy, man, and it depends on
Yeah.
how you use it. So you can be bad for a long time,
Yeah.
but if you all of a sudden want to switch one day or something happens to you that allows you to switch, then you can become good. So, yeah, you we see it every day where we will fall in love with somebody on TV
Yeah.
who we think is a good person, and we find out that they did something awful. Now they become a bad person. It's like,
Right.
what happened to that good person that we loved 20 years ago? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, perfect example of that is Kanye West.
Yeah.
And I say that because a close friend of both of ours thinks Kanye is pure evil. But this is the same person that 10, 20 years ago was riding for us. So
Right.
is he completely bad? Because, I mean, at the same time, it's like he may have said and done some bad things, but also look at how he's employing people, how he's, giving opportunities to other people, helping people. Like, so it's like a spectrum, right?
Yeah, it is. And all you can do is accept it because there's something for you to learn in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's just a part of his journey right now. And
Yeah.
some of the stuff that you see that you may not like, that doesn't mean throw it away. It just means let me investigate why I don't like this and why it affects me the way it does. Because, bro, that happened to me today.
Yeah.
I saw the everybody been sharing this post about this pastor in Atlanta who was speaking to his congregation and telling them that sage in your house is witchcraft. And for whatever reason, I allowed it to affect me a little bit because I know, like, oh man, why are you telling me this? But then I also had to ask myself, like, B, why do you care so much about this?
Yeah.
There are people in the world who are gonna believe one thing and spread information that may or may not be accurate, and there are gonna be people who are gonna do the opposite.
Yeah.
So, man, it's a process though, which
Yeah,
is what
absolutely.
I like about life, man. It never gets to a point to where it's just like, oh, I got it, now I can just chill forever. It's like something always comes up to challenge you, which then makes you stronger. So, you kind of appreciate that stuff for what it is.
And I think when you know that the challenges get a little easier to handle, like I think initially for me, when it hits, I kind of be a little frazzled. And then once I realize I'm in a challenge, it's like, okay. And then it almost like goes away pretty fast because it's like, okay, now I just got to figure this out and then just move on.
Right. Yeah, man. But to be open to that.
Yeah.
Which is the thing about the acceptance with other people, because a lot of times they're just not open to new information. And I guess it's that part of that psyche that wants to hold on because it feels comfortable, It's hard to break out of that mental comfort zone.
Yeah. And and it's funny because I think we all kind of do it in our own ways. I'm learning more about perspective and just like how sometimes I looking out, I can see that people only see things one way because they're looking at it from their perspective. But like, something that may be challenging to you might be easy to me, and something that's easy to me that's challenging to me might be easy to you.
Right.
But being able to see that, it it makes me not want to judge your challenge because it's like you got to go through that.
Right.
You know.
Right. That exactly. Can't. We're trying to judge somebody else's story.
Yeah.
And they still writing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to try to convince you of something that I think works better for you if that's not what you came here to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
might be writing a story that might inspire us in a different way by the tragedy you go through. Not that somebody's intentionally going, yeah, I want to make a tragedy for myself, but and you can tell me how you feel about this, but part of it being your own free will versus it being influence, so it's already kind of etched in you already and you're playing it out. Where do you fall on that spectrum?
So you saying like the things, because I'm kind of understanding like the things that we go through are kind of like meant for us to go through almost?
Yeah. And then just the idea of writing your own story, how much of it is you writing it versus your influence to write what's already inside of you?
I think it's kind of being co-written. I do. I think it kind of reminds me of those books like as a kid where it's like you get two options of like if you want to follow this one, you go to this page, or if you want to follow this one, go to that page. I think some parts of it's like that, and then it is some of us that's taking that control. Like I think when you writing out your goals and when you writing out your aspirations and your dreams, you kind of are writing the story. Because what I'm learning is like things that I might have said 10 years ago happening today, and me not remembering that I said that or wrote it out, and a friend telling me, hey, remember when you said this, that, and that? Like, for example, we did the live episode, and we basically talked about therapy in a bar, and my boy James was like, man, remember when you said you wanted to do therapy sessions in a bar? And I was like, that's crazy that we did that. So yeah, I think we all are writing the story,
Yeah. And so with us writing our own story, we got the pen in our hand.
Yeah.
When somebody else on the outside is trying to tell us what to do, then it's like you're giving them the pen to tell you what your story should be.
Right.
So,
man, that's but I feel like, because I agree with you, I for sure agree with you, but I feel like that also challenges like these principles of what we're taught, and like
which ones?
Like just some of like the Christianity principles of like following God, and not to say that I feel like in my path I'm not following God, but I also feel like God is seeing the work that I'm doing and kind of clearing the path more so for like, if you clear on this and you feeling it, I feel like that is God. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like a lot of people kind of just wait as opposed to, like you said, just writing it, because it does feel like a lot of and it doesn't feel like pressure. I think in the past for me it probably did feel like pressure to know like, damn, like this is all on me.
Right.
And now it brings some excitement like to know that this is all on me.
Yeah. Yeah. It starts off as fear.
Yeah.
Because we were taught for so long that it's not that way.
Yeah.
So it's kind of scary when you're out there by yourself, because for so long we've been given that protection or that thing where somebody's got your back this whole time. It's like, oh, okay, cool. If you telling me what to do, all right,
yeah,
cool, I'm good.
Yeah.
Then you realize like, oh no, it's all on you, brother.
Right.
Run, jump in that pool, deep dive. Oh man, I used to get a lot of inspiration from watching the Animal Planet, just to see how animals operate in nature, man, and take the symbolism from it, because I think all of creation is a story.
Yeah.
So as you watch it, you get to see the story of how you can maneuver through life, because it's all intertwined. So I'm watching these birds, man, and how they would the mama bird would take the baby, and before they even learn how to fly, she just kick them out.
Wow.
And it's like either you're gonna die or you're gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm like, dang.
Yeah.
That's some tough love there.
Yeah. That's a real way to look at it.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. And 9 times out of 10 they do. That something, goes wrong, but it's just that point of that the truth is already in you.
Yeah. I believe that.
Yeah.
I do. I really feel like everything is inside of you, including God.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's funny how we look so external for God, and it's like, what if God placed it like right inside of you?
Exactly.
That's the kind of things I'll be thinking about sometimes.
Right.
Like, I'm looking external, but what if it's all like right there?
It's all in the heart, man.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point of that unconditional love, because you're releasing God, or you're releasing yourself, because you're expressing yourself. There's that wave around that energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like everything outside of us is a reflection of
Yeah.
what's going on the inside. You know, I was thinking, man, like, first of all, we're small but we're big at the same time.
Yeah.
So like, we're small in the fact that if you go to outer space and look down, like, dang, man, you're pretty much just nothing.
Yeah.
But then when you come back down and look up and see in the middle of the night that in one view you can see 1,000 stars that are all millions of miles away from each other, that like are massive.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, like, dang, how big am I to be able to see that much at one time?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Perspective.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
So it's like we are experiencing God. That's how I look at it. Like,
I agree with that too. I do.
yeah.
I do. Like I feel like I've kind of abandoned like the human characteristics of God, because I feel like that was the way I was taught, and like being taught to fear God and stuff like that. And honestly, man, I would say my first like real direct connection to God was the first time I took shrooms. And it just made me feel like everything that I was taught about God was just incorrect, and it made me like build a direct connection to God, and like not feeling like I needed a middleman to communicate,
Right. It's already there.
Yeah.
And it's in the book too. It's just the way we were given the book.
Yeah.
That twisted us from receiving that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's pretty obvious that was on purpose.
Yeah.
If you want to keep people programmed or keep people oppressed, you would teach them in a way to where they'll do it themselves by the way that they think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but man, that, and so with the symbolism with the shrooms, right? They usually grow out of fertilizer.
Yeah.
Which is, that's the excrement. And this is something that I was thinking about even today, where how to get to that place of unconditional love is to love your shit, because that's what you are.
Yeah.
But out of that shit comes new life. You know what I mean?
Right.
You took something that gave you a profound experience, but you had to dig through something to get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
if you the one who really, you know what I mean, got it yourself, you know.
Yeah.
So that's a story right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, hey, I'm always searching for the story, man.
Yeah, man.
And I noticed that I don't even my TV consumption has dwindled because I'm seeing so much story in life as I walk around. Yeah. And it's been beautiful, man.
That's deep, man. So, question that popped in my head as we were talking, but I'm curious to know, I mean, none of us know, but what do you feel like the story is after this human experience? Like, what's after this? Or do you even think about that?
I think about it. I thought about it today, actually.
Yeah.
I can only base my answer based off of information that I perceive, or the amount of knowledge I have so far, and just looking at how things exist now. There's a cycle of life and death, so I think what we're experiencing right now is actually the death.
I can see that.
Because that's the first thing as you come out of the womb. That's the number one thing that you're guaranteed. That's the first guarantee.
Yeah.
You go, welcome to death. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
you got 85 years or whatever it is.
Right.
Cause just like how that poop created the new life for the shrooms after it, is that's the same thing with us, where as we decay or fall apart and we go back into the ground, it happened that a new life will come after that.
Yeah.
In a higher form, I guess. Whatever that looks like. I don't know what it looks like.
Right, yeah.
But no point in I try not to dwell on it too much.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I can't even dwell on the past because it don't even exist no more.
Right.
And it's like, so what is really time then if none of that stuff is there anymore? Like, you can't go back and get it.
Man, this is probably the most present that I felt. Like, this year has been like the most present I felt in a year, and it already feels like I already feel like we've been through a whole year already just by just being here, and not, like you said, not thinking too far about the past, but not thinking too far ahead either, and really like creating what's ahead, you know,
exactly,
through action.
Right, that's naturally what we're gonna do anyway.
Yeah,
we got no. It's almost like we can't control ourselves.
Yeah.
You always gonna think, so you always gonna think about what can I do next.
Yeah, yeah. So
after, it's just like
no, you're fine.
Good. We got neighbors walking through.
Yeah,
it's all good. It's life.
This real deal.
But it's just like, bro, like playing Super Mario.
Yeah.
You get to level 11 or 12, whatever it is, you win the whole game. What happens? Then you start right back.
Yeah, that's
over.
true. That's true.
Yeah, but man, it's always something I'm gonna keep learning about.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Because I feel like there's something in it to even the whole process of being asleep versus being awake.
Yeah.
Because when you're awake in this realm, you're limited. When you go to sleep, you're unlimited.
Yeah.
And you can create the same thing, which makes me wonder, well, which one is the real one? The light or the dark?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry if we went too deep today.
No,
folks.
man, that's why you here, man. I told you, I knew you was deep from the first time I met you, so I appreciate you bringing that. One thing that I like to have my guests share is one piece of advice with the audience listening. What's one piece of advice that you could share, or just a lesson that you've learned that you feel like is important for people to know?
To do everything you can to release fear. Because fear will manifest itself as walls.
Yeah.
That will give you the illusion that it's protection, but the reality is it's a hindrance. It's just like, it's almost like a overbearing parent, where they think what they're doing with all this control over you is protecting you, but it's actually hurting you.
Yeah.
So for that parent or that parent side of yourself who wants to have all this control, let that control or that fear go and allow life to just happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I appreciate you coming on the show.
For sure, man. I appreciate you having me, bro.
Where can the people find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Shamar Sanders, my middle name, last name. Again, that's Shamar Sanders, and got my podcast, Coffee and Cannabis, premiering soon, so be on the lookout for that.
Yeah.
And then you can also find me every Sunday at Agora Temple at the Sunday Social, 222.
Yes. Man, I appreciate that.
For sure, man. Yes, sir.
Thank y'all for listening. This is Mike Brown, and this has been The Art of Letting Go. Peace.
Peace.
Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of The Art of Letting Go. If you like what you heard, please be sure to subscribe to us wherever you listen to this podcast and leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Let other people know what you think as well. If you want to get in touch with us, hit us up on all social media at The Art of Letting Go Podcast. Also, you can send me an email, theartoflettinggopodcast@gmail.com, or give us a call. Leave a message. We might play it on the show. 394-2773. Also, if you would like to support The Art of Letting Go, we got some really cool merch, as well as we're now on Patreon. You can find us, The Art of Letting Go Podcast. Subscribe to us. Thank you guys for listening. This is Mike Brown, and this is The Art of Letting Go.